Hello and welcome to another Tales from the Interface Live. My name is Emmanuel and I will be drawing in front of you for the next hour. This is about me sharing my process and working on my comic Tales from the Interface. So without further delay, I will share my screen. So I'm currently on page 18 of the 24-page chapter. And so I'm very, very close to the finish line here. I just need to basically put in the shadows and a bit of highlights. In this step, I'm mostly putting in shadows. I've been trying to put a little bit of highlights. But after I'm done with all the page, I will go back to the beginning once more and take a look at any finishing touches, highlights. Maybe there's a few panels that still bug me. I want to redo or touch up. But this is pretty much where I am. I think that this comic can be done in the next few months, and I will be able to start publishing. Looking forward to that. So this one is not quite done yet. I'll just go ahead and finish that. So basically I'm just using the lasso tool to select my shadow regions. I hope you all had a great week. It was very, very hot here. Not that I'm complaining too much. I rather be hot than be cold personally. I'm not looking forward to winter even if it's hot now. And yeah, no, I prefer it that way. I don't know if I would live like in a place where it was always hot, but I could do probably with a bit warmer winter, although it would be more humid and that might be even worse. When I went to China, it was so humid, it was extremely uncomfortable, even if the temperature was a lot warmer. So really this step is really inputting the little highlights that make the drawing pop up. So it can be a time consuming step. I am trying to find ways, to optimize it, trying to find the line where it's useful versus gain versus benefit. I mean, will people, how will people think of it? Is it going to make a huge difference if I spend that much more time on the page? What will people see it? Do I really need to put so much detail into it or not? That's kind of my reflection. Sometimes telling the story is more important. I think I already, just like that. I might not do more than that for this one. I personally think it's enough detail. It can look a bit silly if it's overdone. I did one drawing that was a lot of hatching and it looked a bit silly. I found after, not while I was doing it, but afterwards. But I will go back over all of it and maybe I'll put on some more cross-hatching. I'm still debating over that. But welcome to new subscriber. I got one new in YouTube and one new on Facebook, so welcome. And you're gonna have to excuse me for pronouncing. Welcome Slidin and John. Hey Julien, welcome to the chat. Good to see you, guys. What, buddy? Julien is an amazing artist who's having a lot of success with his series. I'm really happy for him. And my daughter loves his dinosaurs, so great comics for kids called Aventurosa. Okay, next. I'm kind of happy with this one. So, should I? Yeah, I'm gonna put a little bit of. I've been doing that on every panel. I don't know if I'm overdoing it, but I like to put like some gradient on top and below. I think it adds to it. Just position it correctly. It just adds a bit more life to it, and it's really subtle. You might not even notice, but when you remove it, I think it adds a lot to the drawing. The top part could be stronger, I think, and then I can lower it as well. See, would not be too strong, but you can play with it. I just want you know, so that it appears a little bit less flat. I think it helps a lot personally. It's very subtle, it's very easy to do, and it adds up a lot. Oh, merci, Julien. So I use a soft light for my top light and a color burn, and a normal like brown for the bottom. So the next panel. I'm gonna remove the bubbles. I'm not happy with the seating here. I'm gonna make it a little bit darker. See how that looks. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Right. Okay, so for my shadowing, what I do here is that I create a new layer. There's layers in color burn. I have a dark brown here, and I put it 30%, and it seemed like this is a good balance. The only caveat of that is that on the white surface it doesn't show up too well, but I found that on most every color it looks really good. So I have my layer selected here. I'll take my lasso tool, and then I can go ahead and just create my shadows. And I like that the shadows have a bit of you know, color to them. They're not just straight darker whatever it is. So I think it adds a bit of life into it. Comme je disais, c'est ça, le color burn sur une couleur donne, au lieu de donner juste une couleur plus foncée, ça donne une couleur qui a un peu plus de vie dedans. Donc je trouve que trouve que ça fait plus intéressant à regarder que juste rendre les choses plus foncées. So sometimes it's hard to know when to stop adding detail. Like I didn't add the detail of the floor here. Honestly, I think it would have been a bit much, so I skipped that one. Sometimes I have difficulty to find out where the line is. And I found that like on very detailed pages like this, you don't necessarily need a lot of shadowing. Sometimes it can be a bit weird. So you maybe just work on general shadows versus like on a face like that, I tend to put a little bit more, but on something like this, I might not put too much. I think the detail itself kind of creates enough of an effect. I don't know. It seems like you don't need a lot of shadows on a panel like this, I think. So definitely on the door here, I can have a big shadow, maybe diagonal. That kind of messed it up. No worry. I still reading always like people still using Photoshop to color, and I really think they should switch, because just doing what I'm doing here, the autofill lasso is such a time saver. Imagine having to do a fill every time you finish selecting your zone. I used to do that, and it was such a pain. And sometimes I can color something small in Photoshop, and I get so annoyed by it. I think once you switch, you really don't look back. I'm planning to do when this chapter is done, I'm kind of in the mind of doing a standalone illustration, just to break up a bit from the comic, and just explore some ideas that I have. And I don't know if pretty sure I'm gonna do it clip paint, but I've been wondering if I should just go back in Photoshop for that one. I can always switch back and forth. Like you can open Photoshop file and clip paint. For sure the blocking part is flattening blocking part is much easier here. Okay, and as I was saying, I mean, for a drawing like this one, for a panel like this one, I'm not entirely certain how much more shadows I need than this. Again, I I don't know. I've been doing it for every panel, but I really like it. Like just my little highlight and shadow. Maybe I'm overdoing it and then I'm gonna think it's corny later, but for now, I think it's really good. And you can adjust, you know, put less, put more, but generally speaking, I think light come from above, so if it's too much, it's gonna be looking bad. Sometimes also what I do is that I apply this only to the background, not the foreground, so it can create interesting. I don't know if I have a good example here quickly. So the Clara here is not using the same color as the other one, so she's on a separate layer. I covered that in that week's video if you want to go back, but quickly you can see that the lighting and the background only affects the background, so that she really pops out at you. So I think it can be used to great effect if used correctly. And let me have a quick look. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, okay. So for this panel, so I put some highlights, general highlights here. I have my characters who have a little bit of shadow. They're so small. I think it's enough. So I think that's about it. That's it for a panel that has a lot of big background and everything is small inside. You can try general shadow, but I feel you don't need as much. Okay. Now this one. Okay, for this one, I kind of have a white zone in the background, and that always troubles me a little bit. I do like the idea of having panels that are more color, so it just kind of transpires the emotion of the scene. Like blue versus warm, cold versus warm, it kind of works. But it's always hard to make it interesting. I don't want to draw the background every time. I think it kind of takes away from the story. And I have one background. We know where they are. We saw them in the previous scenes. So I don't think drawing the background would help that much. But it's difficult to know what to do for the background. I'm not entirely convinced I have it nailed down yet. So for this one, I'm using the emotion. That's kind of good. But for this one, I'm not really certain if I'm doing it correctly, because I think if I were to, I can try a darker background maybe. So I did it separately. Yeah, good for me. I can try to fill it with a darker color. I think I might have tried it, but let's see. Maybe green. It's already this color on the next one. Maybe darker. See, they kind of merge into the background, and I don't really like it. if it's too dark. So this one, I like how they stand out against the background. So I think I'm gonna work with that. Just try to play with some highlights and see how I can just add a bit of life to it. Okay, so let me see if I do it like that. And I kind of like to do it on a separate background so I can play around afterwards. So let me try again. So now I put an highlight in the middle. Okay. If now I can like try to see if I darken it or maybe put it a bit warmer. It's not bad. I think it's more interesting like that. Yeah, I think that kind of works. And then as an additional detail, you know, again, I'm gonna use my same two gradients. And sometimes I do overdo things, so again, I hope I'm not. I guess it will take me time to kind of figure that out. And what you can do that might be interesting is so I'm gonna bring it here, and I'm gonna say that this applies only to the girls. So I'm gonna clip this brown to the background, to the color layer, so that it can only, and so the background remains like as it was before. And you see, if let's say I change this, it only applies to them. And actually, having a pretty dark one like that doesn't look too bad. And now for the top. Kind of feels interesting, I think. Maybe a bit too much, but and I'm not hating this. Okay. There's some windows in the back of them, so I'm gonna think that the windows are doing this. Just as a frame reference. So if that's the case, I'm gonna keep to the general lighting. So I just need to fix the color a little bit on the king crab here. And if you don't know who Kim Crab is, I suggest you go read my comic. You can find the links on the bottom in the description of this video. Why is it doing this? King Crab is in the first chapter of my comic, so if you go to my website, the link is in the description, or I can chat it to you afterwards if you want to talk. It's a big monster that my hero fights in the first chapter, so it's about 10 pages in, if you want to look it up. So did I get it? Okay. I'm not sure I understand what's happening. I don't want to know. I'll just gonna fill all of that. And I've been really enjoying this character, and I know a lot of people have. Just a shame that Geoff Darrow came with a similar name character a little bit after Mine is different, of course, but it is annoying a little bit. And I'm a big fan of his, so I'm afraid of what people think, but I did not do that on purpose, if anybody's asking. So a small white speck here that's gonna look bad when I print it, so let me fix that. While I'm there, I seem to have already gone through to fix those. Yeah, okay. So again, let me go in and shadow that that piece here. So new layer. I'm gonna have to do it on top of this, I believe, so it doesn't clip. So again, I find 30% to be a good overall base to start. I think it's weird that the color palette keeps it selected, but it's not actually selected necessarily. So if I go and pick another color, it still says that my brown is selected, although it's not. So every time I want to fill, I need to go back to my standard color set and select it, which is a little bit annoying. I just wish they deselect it, that's all. If it's not being active anymore. Should be a small fix, I imagine. So I can talk about one thing now that this brings up. Sometimes it looks really weird like this. I think like the brown, if I had the right color, I have the right color, okay. So because I color my line, sometimes if the colored line is of a lighter hue, then the shadow, it looks really off. So I think that in this case, what you can do is just maybe darken it a little bit. If now I already have my swatch selected to the shadow color. If I fill with that, it looks a little bit better. I think I need to be darker because the color I am see, looks a lot more natural now. So I kind of like to do this in this case. So you see here it works. Doesn't look too off. Like you don't want a shadow to look darker than the line work, in my opinion. It can be the same, but darker looks weird. Or if it's like a colder versus hot, like it kind of was here, it looks weird. So maybe something to watch out for if you're using this technique. the sky is getting darker. It feels like thunder outside. It's gonna be a huge one. Super humid. Reminds me, one summer I was with my family at Chesapeake Bay in the Gulf of Mexico, and then it was kind of similar kind of weather. It's like it felt pretty comfortable, but it was very humid, and then animals started to act strangely. It was really eerie, like the crab starting to swim up. It was so weird. I don't know why they do that. I guess they can sense something is going on. And then my mother came to get me because she kind of felt something was off. And then it started to pour and pour and pour. It was crazy. And then the next morning, and the wind was crazy too. So the next morning, a bunch of big branches fell on top of. It was a camping, so on top of the motor cars, and a lot of people got their, even flipped. I think some of them got flipped up. We were in a kind of big motor car, so we were fine, but eesh. So the next morning, we went to look at the damage, and we found a huge snake that had been washed up. It was dead, but then some guy said that it was poisonous, and he threw it back in the ocean. It's I did enjoy my time there though. It was fun, like fishing crabs, and I think we went twice, and I don't know why, but the following time that we went, it was a lot dirtier. So I just saw there is this documentary on Netflix about the ocean. What is the name again? Anyway, it was with Sylvia Earle, and she grew up in the Gulf of Mexico, and she was saying how much it changed. And I think that might have been what I witnessed here, because when I went there the first time, the water was brown. It was clear, and then the next time it was dirty and brown, and it could have been like because of a big storm or something like that. But it felt like there was less animals, and overall, it looked pretty bad. So there was one thing they said in this documentary was that in the 70s there were four oil rigs, and now there were, did they say 30,000 or 13,000? I hope it's 13,000. It's kind of nuts. And then recently there was this big spill on one of them, and it's kind of nuts. All this beautiful ecosystem got destroyed. I don't know. And how much other nature was destroyed just during my lifetime. I mean, during the last 40 years, it was nuts how much we lost. I'm not sure what's going to be left for my daughter's generation, like her kids. What will they have? Not sure. I'm sure they'll get by. I mean, human is, if anything, extremely resilient. I'm not really, personally, I'm not worried about the fate of humankind. I think humankind itself will survive, but under what conditions, I don't know. We really don't need a lot to survive. I mean, you can grow algae. All you need, and eat that. All you need really is a bit of sun and water. I mean, that's pretty basic. You could survive off that. I mean, you can then feed the algae to some bugs, and it's a horrible life, but it's life, I think. As a last result, you know, we can always live like that. So, yeah, you know, that's it. I think humankind is resilient, but just because we're surviving doesn't mean it's great. So I think it's a little weird. The color, I don't like the color of the shadow like that. Let me try another way. I'm gonna unclip that. I'm gonna put that on top, and I'm gonna see, it looks more natural like that on top of it, but I don't want it to affect my background. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna control click the color layer here, and that will create a mask. Look, same effect but on top of my color burn, so it looks a lot better. So same thing again. So anyway, select color layer, and then you go in and go to the highlight now, and click this is a clipping mask, a layer mask. There you go. Now my color burn is under the gradient and it looks a lot better. Just to compare, if I put on top, it looks dead, but in the bottom, it looks like a natural shadow. And I think that might be because of something I read in the, I think in James Gurney's book. Like, I think it looks more natural, especially for skin tones, because when light, skin is actually transparent, and then when light hits your skin, it penetrates the skin, and there's kind of it kind of reflects off the blood vessel and your blood inside, so it kind of creates a hue towards the reddish. So I think that's why, to me, it looks natural. I don't know. That's my theory. Might be completely off. Alright, it's going well today. Only 15 minutes left to the live, so if you have any question, please ask them now, or you can wait until next week. I really thank you for stopping by, Julien, and anybody else who's looking at this after the fact. I really enjoy you taking the time to look at my little drawings. As always, I really appreciate all like, subscribes, follow, all that stuff. It really makes it worthwhile to do what I'm doing, to know that people actually care about it. So I deeply appreciate it. If you'd like to check out my comic, it's really easy. It's the address is in the comments, and otherwise you can also check out my books, which are available on my site. I ship them myself, and you can get a sketch in them if you want. So this book, this is the third volume of Tales from the Interface, and I'm almost half done with it. So So perhaps I need like another year. I would love to be able to finish it before next summer, so next spring probably, so that I can have it in time for the next summer festivals. You know, having nothing in 2 years is people kind of forget about you. Say, oh, who are you again? And that's annoying. I wish I could like have a new book every year to bring. That would really be nice. But oh well, I do what I can. I'm only one man, and I have a day job. So this comic, as I said, should be hitting the site before the end of the summer. And I am thinking of doing a once every other week kind of schedule, because it takes me a year to do a comic, and if I like publish every week like I used to do, I end up having 6 months of nothing happening on my site, which bugs me. Most people will tell you that you need to have like ideally a bi-weekly schedule, and that's simply not. There's no way that I can do that with my with kind of life I'm living. Yeah, well, so we do what we can, right? It's gonna start raining really soon. I think I might be hearing it. So cool. I mean, I'm gonna be only 4 more pages left before I can review and finish this comic. Yay! It's always a strange time though, because I'm so apprehensive of what people will say or not say. It's always a very stressful time for me. Probably shouldn't, but I can't help it. I always feel a bit strange about putting my stuff out there. When you're in the middle of, I kind of go through a roller, what do you say, a roller coaster during these times. I mean, when I start a comic, it looks like a chapter. It looks so big, and I feel like I'm never gonna finish it. And then when I'm in the middle, I kind of get encouraged. But then at this time, when I'm almost done with it, I feel, oh my god, I kind of hopeful that people will like it. But at the same time, I'm kind of worried that like nobody will care about it. And I do this mainly for myself. I get that still. Whew. Hot, man. So hot. Hearing the rain in the window. Very relaxing. Not sure if people can pick it up. Oh, I watched a few. I have still a few minutes left. I can talk about what I watched last time. I decided to take a break and I drew a little bit, but not too much. So I took a little break. And I watched Color of Space on the recommendation from Steph Dumais. I probably would have watched it anyway because I do love Lovecraftian kind of thing. So, and this was very much so. It was very cool. The kind of star of the show is the kind of star of the movie, if you will. I know it's kind of funny. There's no real hero in this. I kind of like it. It's kind of seen from different characters' point of view. There's no main. I didn't really see a main character. But anyway, the only real, I guess there's two kind of famous people in this movie, which are Nicolas Cage and Tommy Chong, which is fun to see Tommy Chong again. And so it's a Lovecraftian horror. It's like a story where there's kind of a meteorite that lands on Earth and then it begins changing the world around it. It's very much, I think it kind of pretty much respects the kind of very atmospheric style of Lovecraft, where you would go and do a lot of never actually going into the real mystery of the thing. It's always, he always keeps like the mysterious evil being as a mystery. And I think it was really successful, in that spirit, maintaining that spirit of of Lovecraft. I don't know what I'm gonna have to ask Marc Gagnon, because he's a big fan of him. See what he thought of that movie. I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was nice, and I thought that Nicolas Cage did actually a pretty good role in it. I mean, sometimes he can accept really bad roles, and it's kind of not great. But in this one, I enjoyed his. I did enjoy his performance. I thought he was good in it. Well, Tommy Chong, he was just himself, so that's great. Then the young girl, I don't know her. I think she's kind of new, but she did a fantastic job as well. She kind of shined in that movie as well. And the brother, he was okay. Not especially fantastic. The young boy inside was great as well. Overall, I really liked the characters inside. It was nice. There was also a kind of a surveyor, but he was boring. Personally, I thought. But yeah, I think the highlight of this movie is pretty much the special. Beside the actors were great, but the special effect was really interesting. How they used lights and they used that kind of pinkish light, and it was made really interesting effects. So quite enjoyed it. I recommend it. So before on the other panel, what I did is I darkened the line. Here, what I did is I reduced the color burn a little bit. Also, what I will do, see that Clara and Che, they both have the same line color, so I'm gonna. Oh, they're on the same layer. Oh, that sucks. I thought they were different layers then. But what I can do, kind of want to make Clara a little darker. Kind of word it. Okay. So it's just her face on a different layer, right? Yeah. There's no point to keep them separate. I'm just gonna merge that, and I'm gonna try to separate Che into her own layer. So only have 2 minutes to do it. I'm not sure it's enough. I did start later though, so let's take the time to do this. I should have made another layer from the start. Usually I do, but I don't know. This time I didn't do it because I was a bit lazy. Okay, now I think I can cut her out of there. And then Clara will be a bit darker. Am I doing it? Yes. Flip for black. Black kind of shows. She's really sticked to the frame, so I'm gonna go with a black in this case. I rarely do, but for this case. Yeah. And then she's a bit lighter, so I think that works. And my color burn as well, I'm gonna cut it away so that she has a different value. Okay. So this will be Clara's burn. I'm gonna go back to 30. Yes, that looks much better. flower burn. G-burn. And with that burn, I'm about done. So thank you all for stopping by. I really enjoy it. And if you'd like to subscribe, link, share my stream or my comic or whatever, I'm always there if you want me to answer any question you might have. So again, thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll see you next live. So goodbye.